with Create Your Own Luck and Love. I'm excited to be here with you guys today and go live. I miss you guys. And really speak into you might be accidentally pushing a man away or pushing men you're dating away, which ultimately makes you feel confused, or perhaps it results if you're dating somebody and him pulling away. So I want to dive into this today, partly because I've I've noticed a few of my clients recently experienced this, and we did some deeper work around, unhooking from doing that. And a lot of times it's subconscious, and it's it's a way of protecting yourself and also avoiding intimacy. So a lot of times we don't even realize that, and we can be pushing friends away, we can be pushing um, someone we're dating away, and then there might be feelings coming up inside of you like, am I ever going to really meet someone that I feel close and connected with, or that values me, that sees me? And there might be something underlying going on inside of you that says, I want him to chase me. I want him to see that I'm feeling a certain way and be able to decode my pushing away as not really wanting that. And so to take this even a step further is you may not even realize what you do to push people away. So I was talking to a client of mine just the other day, and she was sharing with me a scenario, and it it went a little like, well, you've already decided that you're going to go do this, so there really isn't a future here. And so what ended up happening is he had said, well, that's not the case. And what she continued to do was say, well, I don't really see how it could work because of X, or we're not going to be able to see each other as often because of X. But so what happens in that case is it's like you're cutting someone off. It's kind of like the feeling of being cut off on the freeway. And it can feel bad to a person and actually push them away and shut them down. So they're not actually thinking of solutions or thinking of, well, how could we create something that we're building and we're growing together? They actually start to think that you're not really interested, and it's a way of you letting them down, that, oh, I don't really want this, when in reality it's the absolute opposite. Or have you ever experienced a friend, or even a loved one, someone that you're dating, say to you, maybe you're on the phone with them or you're spending time with them, and they say, oh, you must be really tired, I'll let you go. Oh, you must be feeling X, I'll let you go. And that may be their way of saying, I need to go, or I want to go. And they are not necessarily doing that, right? So, or they're doing that. Sorry, my little boy is trying to get into my office, and he keeps knocking on the door. So I may get to let him in. But or they're not necessarily being direct and saying, hey, I've really enjoyed talking to you, but I've got to run now, or I'm feeling really tired right now, I got to go, but I'll talk to you later. So they may have discovered in their life, or it was modeled to them to do it differently, so as maybe not to feel bad or, or anything else. But I would love to hear from you if you have felt at times where you might be inadvertently pushing someone away, but you really want to bring them closer. And ways that can materialize in your behavior too is you you know maybe you've been dating for a little bit and he wants to go meet up with his friends and spend some time with them because he hasn't in a while, or he wants to go, spend Sunday afternoon watching football. And in your mind, you feel like, well, that takes away from the time that we're spending together, which in turn is trying to control his time, right? And what ends up happening is it is a control tactic, and it is isolating. Now, with men that value themselves and know themselves, they're going to go anyway, and because they're going to do what they want to do anyway, just like you. And the instead of a lot of times when we're accidentally pushing men away, it's because we're operating from a fear-based place. Well, if I let him go, it means, he'll want to be with his friends all the time and not want to spend time with me. Well, that's not true. When he gets the opportunity to spend time with his friends, it gives him an opportunity to miss you and not feel like, it makes him feel balanced and good, just like you. When you spend time with your friends or do the things that you're passionate about, it's one of the things that probably attracts him to you. So we do things that, or when you feel, maybe you feel emotionally triggered, and triggers are part of what makes us push people away, because we're operating out of fear. Let me know if you remember times, or if you feel like you've accidentally pushed a man away. Just put, yes, that's me, I've done it. So when you're operating from that fear-based place and not from a place of abundance and trust, and knowing that, look, I'm not attached to whether or not this man is going to end up with me or not, but I'm also going to trust that I don't need to control our time together, or it doesn't need to look a certain way. And it can even be, as simple as a man, saying, maybe you've been spending time together, and when in the very beginning you spent, he was taking you out on really great dates, and we're in a pandemic right now, so that's affecting things a lot. And maybe you're doing more indoor things, or Netflix and chill, or and it doesn't feel as like he's valuing or showing up in a way that's trying to impress you, whereas that may not be the case. It's a lot of times it's our thoughts in our heads and our stories we create in our heads that inadvertently push a man away, or making him wrong for, maybe you have an expectation of him calling every day. Maybe he has been calling every day and then he doesn't for some reason. And then all of a sudden, maybe you feel triggered and make him wrong for that. And you might make him wrong in your mind, but you don't say anything, which our energy doesn't lie, guys. If you're you're feeling that way, that energy comes forward. So it's always important to share what you're feeling. I've been hosting a private group, Supercharge Your Love Life, with a colleague of mine this week, and we were talking about something similar to this, that um, that it isn't exactly this, but it's really about communication and boundaries. And some of the tools that you can use to support you in um, seeking to understand the other person, when you might, so pushing away is usually a defense mechanism, and it's subconscious. So the more conscious you become, and a lot of times as women, because we're nurtured by nature, we try to take care of other people's feelings. Oh, you're probably really tired, or I know you've been traveling. Well, that inadvertently can push someone away, instead of honoring where you're at and saying, well, hey, I'm really, I'm so excited to see you tomorrow, but I am going to let you go because, I get to take care of XYZ tonight before I go to bed. And a lot of times, if we don't, we're not strong and convicted with what we need and what our values are, we have a harder time saying that, or letting someone go, or setting a boundary. And because maybe in the past your boundaries haven't been respected, or they haven't been listened to, or the person continues talking, and then you feel bad, so you don't want to let them go. But it's just another opportunity to say, hey, I definitely want to hear you, and I got to get going. So, and not taking responsibility for that person's feelings. But you know when you feel a certain way, or you start to feel triggered, and there's this feeling of, you know maybe the story you tell yourself in your head is, men don't really stick around, or they really don't want a commitment. So you get to switch that story, and remain in curiosity and say, hey, so a good way to communicate is say, hey, so I heard what you said about X, and the story I'm telling myself is this. I'm telling myself that maybe you don't like this about me, and I'm feeling like you really don't like me that much anyway, or whatever it is. But if you start with the story I'm telling myself, is that true? It's you being brave and incredibly vulnerable. And when a man hears that, he's not going to hear an accusation, or he's not going to hear, you're not accusing of anything. You're saying, this is how I'm feeling, or I'm starting to create something in my mind. And he's going to be understanding of that, which then opens up the lines of communication, because we, in fact, are the emotional leaders in relationship. We're emotional. I always say this, as women, we lead from behind, and we inspire men to build things and show up for us, and do certain, and do things that make us happy. And we inspire that by sharing those things with a man. It's, women get things so confused with the fact that they think he needs to, plan this really amazing date. He needs to do all of these things, when oftentimes want to do really great things. And some men are just better at planning really amazing adventures. And right now, we're a lot more limited than we have been in the past. So it's all about getting creative. And as women, we are typically much more connected to that side of our brain. So it's about, instead of pushing away, it's allowing yourself to, and this is like three different topics, I feel like, but it's allowing yourself to get connected to, what do I feel? What is it that I might be missing that's making me go into a space of pushing? And when we're pushing away, we're oftentimes projecting our hurt onto someone else or feelings, rather than going, okay, wait, let's center. And especially if when your feeling is triggered, or when you hear something and your emotions might be disproportionate to the situation, then that is a, that's a sign that there's just some unresolved stuff inside of you that gets to be processed. If our feelings aren't processed, they stay stuck inside, and we oftentimes go into our head, and we start to question ourselves and not trust ourselves and what we're feeling. So the more we're able to process our emotions, the more open our heart becomes to actually giving and receiving love. But if you're pushing away, it's really hard to receive. So here's what you can do to open yourself up to connection is, those couple of things that I said is, the story I'm creating here is this. Or, I could be wrong, but when you showed up, late, I felt like you didn't, value me or our time together, and that I just wasn't that important to you. Is that the case? And most of the time, what's going to happen is you're going to see someone, especially a man, open up and go, "Oh no, that wasn't the case at all. I got caught up in this, bad traffic jam, and then I had, a business call that came in that didn't allow me to actually call you or text you and say, hey, I'm running late." So, we tend to create stories, but if we're not sharing, we have a hard time letting it go. And if we don't share from a place of love and being curious, we're going to inadvertently push away. So if you feel like you've already pushed away, get into the space of curiosity with them and really feel the positive feelings first. So think, whatever I decided I was making him wrong for, I'm choosing to be here for a reason, and choose to be happy and enjoy. And when you start to create a story, or you could even say, hey, the other day when I did this, what I realized is that the story that I was, creating, that I was telling myself, you don't have to say creating, you could say story I was telling myself in my mind was XYZ. And that caused me to pull away, or maybe even push you away. Am I right there? Or, help me understand. And people are so willing to share with you what's coming through for them. And they might even say, gosh, I'm really glad you said that. Or, you know, with the man, he may not even noticed, but he felt the energy, which made him pull back. And these are oftentimes subconscious things that happen. And we can push away a man, a relationship, a connection before it even gets off the ground by doing these things. So by opening yourself up, getting curious, sharing that line, those couple of lines I just said, it opens you up to really getting to create that intimacy that you want. Because remember, pushing away will cut you off from intimacy. I hope this helped. I welcome your questions, comments. If you are on YouTube and you happen to like this, and subscribe to my channel so you get access to my weekly videos. If you're on IGTV, hello, so good to see you guys. And so happy to have gotten to share the love with you today. Mwah. See you soon. Bye.